Hey, ya Wastelanders, how's it going? Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering why I picked this random character from Fallout 3, and others probably have an idea of where I got inspiration to do this run. But before any of that, let's take a quick peek at Granny Sparkle's special allocation as well as her inventory. You'll see special and actual. Actual is the total after the bonuses from gear are taken into account. I gotta say, I'm surprised that she's got a 6 strength, but when we take a look at her one weapon, it actually checks out and works perfectly. Hunting rifle has a strength minimum of 6, and in New Vegas, a minimum gun skill of 50 for optimal handling of the weapon. And that Brahmin skin outfit, well, here's a better look. Well, at least we get +1 to agility and endurance, though. That's cool. Now, how about her tagged skills? What's that? There's nothing on the screen? Oh no, that's not a mistake. For some reason, Grandma Sparkle doesn't have any tagged skills. I'm not sure why, but since we need to tag 3 to start the run at all, I went ahead and chose them based on Granny herself. Grandma Sparkle is a merchant from the Capital Wasteland, so there's barter for us. She's skilled with a hunting rifle, that means we're taking guns. And since she lived at Wilheim's Wharf as well as lived off the land, as she does sell us cooked goods like Mirelurk cakes, I think that justifies picking survival as our third tag skill. And because we're in hardcore mode, where we'll need food and drink anyway, this is a pretty solid tag skill for us to pick. And with survival we can make some cool stuff this run, like trail mix, and our heal over time from food and drink will be pretty potent. If there's ever a run to hotkey my personal Nuka-Cola and Sunset Sarsaparilla combo, it's this one. As for this character, well, I have no intention of stealing anyone's thunder or idea. Since I recently uninstalled Tale of Two Wastelands to focus on content exclusive to Fallout 3 and New Vegas, I can still do some crossover runs like this provided the game has the gear and weapons that who are playing as has available to them. That's gonna be a little harder to pull off once we start seeing some Fallout 4 characters thrown into the fray, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Point being that Grandma Sparkle's outfit and weapon are both in New Vegas, as well as her hairstyle, so I thought this would be a fun way to put that little idea into action. Like every character before her, we've even got a fun little story for how Granny ended up here in the Mojave Wasteland. Speaking of which, let us set the scene. Though we ourselves might not have access to Union Station for the moment, that doesn't mean I can't make use of our consistently effective plot device. Hearing tales from the hero of the vault, no, not the lone wanderer, our boy Butch, our tunnel snake from the previous run has set off into the DC ruins. Having recruited a few Wastelanders to recreate his old gang from the vault, Granny Sparkle decided it's high time she leave Wilheim's Wharf for good. She and her family, whom we never see in Fallout 3, accompany Butch to Union Station, clear out the muties and Pharaoh ghouls, and since there's a team investigating the lost train station, doesn't take them long to get it up and running. When the crew arrives in Freeside, Granny and her family set off to explore the Mojave Wasteland and find themselves in Goodsprings. They don't see Butch too much within these 4 years, but the Sparkle fam is still part of the Tunnel Snakes because they rule. As an experienced merchant and riflewoman, Granny finds it pretty easy to settle down. She's got a good relationship with Sunny Smiles and Doc Mitchell in particular, and by the time of the events of Fallout New Vegas begin, our elderly protagonist has become a beloved member of the small settlement. And I mean, considering that it's her and her family who are at Wilheim's Wharf, I think that she would be perfect for a place like Goodsprings. Now, speaking of the events of Fallout New Vegas, Grandma Sparkle has no inherent connection to the Courier beyond learning that someone was shot and killed up at the Goodsprings Cemetery. Instead, the Powder Gangers in this timeline are a bit more bold, and Joe Cobb does not need the Courier's intervention to get the idea of taking over Goodsprings floating around in his head. Now, that's all well and good with Grandma Sparkle and Goodsprings openly feuding with the Powder Gangers. However, we still need to come up with a way to get her to leave Goodsprings in pursuit of Benny and his Great Khan goons. Well, believe it or not, I have come up with one. You see, Granny really likes Trudy's radio at the Prospector Saloon, and when she hears that one of them, probably Jessup, broke it, well, she gonna teach them whippersnappers a thing or two about respect. After the Powder Gangers are dealt with and everything's in order for her to leave, Grandma Sparkle's gonna hunt down some Great Khans in the name of Trudy's radio, even though she fixes it herself. It's the principle of the matter, really. That, and within the 4 years between Fallout 3 and New Vegas, Granny's become a regular at Prim as well. Thanks to her many years as a merchant back in the Capital Wasteland, there's a bit of a trade going on between Prim and Goodsprings. Having experience at your job, well, who would have known that paid off? So even if there was no incentive to go after the Great Khans for disrespecting one of our fellow townsfolk, we'd be heading down to Prim anyway. Oh, and just like with Butch's Fallout 3 run, since this is our first vanilla New Vegas run on the channel, we'll be covering the main story up to New Vegas, and then decide who we're siding with. Although I think it's pretty safe to say that Grandma Sparkle, with how the Legion feels about women, isn't gonna be joining them, although the appeal of a secure and enforced road for efficient trade is a positive for a merchant. Now, before we do head south, I am gonna go ahead and get the Hidden Valley fast travel point, because I do think that Grandma Sparkle would have this, being that she roams around and whatnot. She would have come over here at some point, saw the gates, and then saw the storm in there and been like, nah, I'ma turn around. And with the feud against the Powder Gangers dissolved for the most part, with just stragglers out here, doesn't hurt to pick off those who are still roaming around, just in case. And hey, there we are, Hidden Valley, the gates for it. We can go ahead, get that on our fast travel. Oh, and one more thing just in case you are new, and first off, welcome, love to have you here. Since we're not playing Grandma Sparkle in the role of the Courier, we're not allowed to use stuff like VATS or our Pip-Boy flashlight, because canonically we don't have one. Now, there's nothing I can do about opening it up for the use of inventory, because the Pip-Boy does double as our knapsack, effectively. But yeah, no VATS, no flashlight, and I hope you get comfortable with that. To enter VATS, press V, little alert on the top left-hand corner of the screen. It's gonna be there for a little while, as in the entire run. Now, once in a while, it will go away when I quick save or something else happens, but for the most part, nah, it's just there chilling. But yeah, now that Granny Sparkle has made her way to Prim and has seen what's been going on here while she hasn't heard back from them, well, it's time to clean this place out of some escaped powder gangers. Now, we have to be very careful here because we won't be able to purchase any 308 ammo up until about level 6. On the flip side, however, the hunting rifle is pretty good in Fallout New Vegas, and it's extremely powerful for this early in the game. And I mean, these escaped convicts are pretty fragile anyway, but every single one of them has been a one-shot so far. But as powerful as we are, however, we do have to be careful because that Brahmin skin outfit, that doesn't provide us any protection, and our endurance isn't high enough for us to take toughness. So up until we are eligible for Fight the Power, we're going to have exactly 0 protection. Well, not counting temporary buffs like MedX. And before we head on to the center here, we're going to hit level 3. Very nice. We're going to go ahead and get our guns to 50 so we can now efficiently use our hunting rifle, and we'll start leveling up our barter a bit as well. Now, even in the main timeline, we'll call it, this place is under siege by escaped convicts who are powder gangers. Courier 6 comes here to either rescue Deputy Beagle or, well, look for signs of him because he can die here. If Beagle is killed, he does have a journal on him, which is a holotape we can listen to learn the location of where Benny and the Great Khans were headed. And I mean, we cleaned this place out in record time because we're pretty strong for early on in the game. But Granny, thanks to helping out Deputy Beagle and he gives us the information, Granny does have a general idea of where Benny and the Khans went. But before that, we're going to head on over to the Mojave outpost. We are a merchant, so this place is of some interest to us. But because we are not a caravaner, which is why Cass is trapped here, we can help out Ranger Jackson with clearing out the roads. And of course, while we're at it, we can go ahead and help out Ranger Ghost. She'll have a quest for us to investigate Nipton because, well, there's a lot of smoke coming from there, and it's assumed to be the powder gangers, but it's something a little bit worse than that. Ranger Jackson's quest is very easy. All we gotta do is take out half a dozen giant ants, and that's gonna be great for us getting some caravan lunch, an awesome item for hardcore mode. As you can tell by me having 10 less shots, I missed quite a few here. As for Nipton, well, it turns out a bunch of Roman LARPers named Caesar's Legion are here, and they're the ones who are responsible for the destruction of this place. But because Granny Sparkle has seen way worse between super mutants and bloodthirsty raiders, she just kind of disses Wolpez. She's like, that's it. Well, time to go report this back. I think Wolpez takes exception to that. After turning in our 2 quests and continuing with the main story, we end up in a settlement called Novak, and as per what Beagle was telling us, we can find the location of where Benny and his Great Khan goons have ended up, and going into Manny Vargas' room here, we can activate his terminal. Reading the terminal does give us the note, and we can use that as well as the cigarette butts we picked back at Goodsprings Cemetery to present to Swank when the time comes. So, now that Grandma Sparkle knows that Benny and the Cons were supposed to get square at Boulder City, she goes off and tries to find it, and gets a little misled at first, accidentally gets on over to good old El Dorado substation, and yeah, the NCR do kind of go after her, but they're also like, you know what, it's an old lady, so we're not gonna be too hard on her. But here shortly, she's going to have another encounter with the NCR, because it turns out that the Great Khans and the NCR have a bit of a standoff, and because Grandma Sparkle wants payback on the Great Khans, she is going to help out the NCR by rescuing the hostages, or she's going to try anyway. Now, the last time I tried to rescue the hostages, I was playing as Vance in Fallout New Vegas, and I failed at that spectacularly. But I was a bit more brazen in that run because not only were we strong, but we could take more than a couple of hits, which we really can't do here, and, well, we're gonna see that here in a sec. Fortunately for us, as we slip through the alleyways, we're able to elude detection from the Great Khans, although one or two NCR troopers will detect us for a second or two. It's looking pretty good here. The coast is clear, making our way over. Good, no Great Khans are seeing us. There's the door. There's a very easy lock on that, so all I gotta do is jimmy that bad boy open. And before that, we're gonna go ahead and hotkey some stuff, because might as well get that out of the way now. We're probably gonna need it, too. There's the door. Very easy lock. No problem whatsoever. Not only do we rescue the hostages, but as the Great Khan comes to check out the noise, we're able to close the door in their face and get some distance. We are on caution, though, so it's just a matter of time before we're in danger, and, well, yeah, now we are, but that's fine, because we can get the hostages back, and the NCR is going to cover us, and since the Great Khans and the NCR troopers are having a shootout, and the NCR troopers are much better equipped, well, that's pretty easy for us. Well, that is until we aggro Jessup and the other Great Khan come back out, and check our health and watch how fast it starts dropping. Yeah, gonna say, great idea for us to hotkey our Nuka-Cola Sunset Sarsaparilla and Stimpack triple combo. With our NCR buddies at our side, it's time to turn the tables. Well, Jessup and his buddy don't stand much of a chance, and, well, good thing we fired when we did, avoided potential friendly fire there. And now we've got a clear view, line up that shot, and, well, Jessup has paid the price for disrespecting Trudy and those at the Prospector Saloon and just, being a jerk in general. With how often Grandma Sparkle's had to deal with raiders, being that she didn't live too far from some near that bridge in the Capital Wasteland, I figure guys like Jessup are just another day of the week for her. Now, as we level up, we're about to hit level 5. As that menu pops up, we'll go ahead and pop some points into our gun skill and get our science to 29. We need 30 if we want to reprogram Primslim. I figure that's going to be the way we go. And plus, once we hit level 6, we can take comprehension, so science at 30 I think will be alright. We're gonna need 50 for a little bit later in the run. Making our way on over to Freeside, gonna say hello to our Faction Warriors co-star Dixon here. And we'll just say that Butch gave her a request to take out Dixon because Dixon's causing some trouble, and Butch can't be everywhere at once. Don't forget, Butch is alive and well and in the Mojave Wasteland in our little story here. And as we make our way through Freeside, one other thing about Granny Sparkle ever since she got to the Mojave Wasteland is that she's always wanted to go to New Vegas at least once. I mean, she's 76 years old. Yeah, she's 72 in Fallout 3, so by the time the events of this game take place, 76, and she's still rocking. That's a long time, especially in this world. To Granny Sparkle, entering New Vegas and having fun at the casinos is her idea of one last great adventure. And, well, who would have known that a little mission to get back at those who disrespected her townsfolk would bring her right here to the Strip. After disposing of this inept thug and chatting up with old Ben here, we'll go to the Securitron, and we have more than enough caps to pass that credit check. We exceeded that once we got to Prim. Considering that we have one weapon and our Brahmin skin outfit doesn't really seem to take much damage, well, we have a lot of money we can save up. And even better, Granny Sparkle sees an old familiar face here, Victor the Robot, and he wants her to go inside of the Lucky 38 for some reason. Well, Granny, your little time here in New Vegas, that final adventure you wanted, it's getting a whole lot crazier, because you caught the attention of one Robert Edwin House. Turns out this is why Benny killed the Courier, so Granny Sparkle may be getting herself involved into stuff she wasn't quite ready for. Mr. House wants back the property which was stolen from him, and Granny Sparkle does have a bit of a score to settle with Benny, being that he was the one who brought the Great Khans to Goodsprings. You know, Granny's been feeling young and vibrant, just like she was back in her prime adventuring throughout the Capital Wasteland. So, when she gets to Benny, she is about to turn on the Granny Sparkle charm, or curse, depending on how you look at it. Now remember, technically Benny doesn't know Granny Sparkle, so, you know, she's pulling the moves, and, well, it turns out Benny likes older women. Who knew? Now, I did collect all of the evidence that you can acquire back at Goodsprings Cemetery, the cigarettes, the note from Annie's terminal, the evidence back in Boulder City, but then I remembered that I picked Black Widow, and I was like, nah, this is happening. I like to think that Granny Sparkle didn't actually try to kill Benny. But, I mean, hey, accidentally killing Benny is fine, too, because we did complete Mr. House's objective. So we head out and are ready to go back to Mr. House, and, of course, outside we're greeted by Wolpez and Kulta, the guy who tried to scare her back and nipped him. He says Kaiser wants to meet her. She's like, oh, really? He wants to meet me? Well, okay, I guess I'll accept. I don't know why, but okay. Now, before we can meet Kaiser, we do have to make our way to Cottonwood Cove. Fast traveling back to Wolfhorn Ranch, we can go east, and gonna show you a little fun trick here. We can take advantage of First Sergeant Astor and the NCR squad that's here. Let's say that we have ammo we want to save. We don't here, but just in case you do and you want to try something new. Or conserve your own resources, you can aggro them and pull them all the way back to First Sergeant Astor. I shot the one just to make sure it would stay aggroed on me. And, I mean, hey, good on First Sergeant Astor. He sees this poor old lady running from some feral ghouls. Of course he and the NCR troopers are going to take them down. It's also a nice, nifty way to get a jumpstart on First Sergeant Astor's quest with the irradiated dog tags. We're not going to do that this run, but yeah, I thought that was a cool little trick. I learned that a while ago. Now, there's only one or two feral ghouls between us and Cottonwood Cove, so as we make our way on over there, we're going to go ahead and cut straight on over to Cottonwood Cove. We have the mark of Kaiser, so we're going to be alright. You just gotta wonder what's going through the Legionaries' minds when they're like, wait, Kaiser wants to summon an old woman? Why? Okay, I'll wait true to Kaiser, I guess. And Granny Sparkle, relatively unfazed, because, again, the raiders from the Capital Wasteland are some pretty grim folks, and of course, the savage super mutants as well. For Grandma Sparkle, her invitation to Fortification Hill, that was Wednesday. And, I mean, hey, Granny Sparkle is so full of bravado right now that she's repeatedly refusing Kaiser, and she knows of his reputation, and I just love how you can keep saying no, and he's like, no, you're gonna do it. Yeah, sure, I totally am. You can trust me. Granny Sparkle just disrespected Kaiser in his personal tent surrounded by his Praetorian Guard. Yeah, she going places. There's a reason why she lived to be 76. Now, as we enter the Securitron bunker, Mr. House wants us to activate the terminal at the end here. Gonna make our way there. Not too difficult, and because we have 30 science, which will be plus 20, so 50 courtesy of comprehension, we will, in fact, be able to disable the turrets, but we will still have to fight the Protectrons. Between the two, I'd rather fight the Protectrons any day. So, we're gonna just cut through that hacking minigame because, well, I'm not gonna put you through that. And as we start taking on the Protectrons, you're gonna see once again that having zero protection, it's not great. Man, if the Protectrons are messing us up this bad, I am not looking forward to the Conturians of Hoover Dam with their anti-material rifles. That said, playing as this particular character does make the Securitron bunker a bit challenging because if the Protectrons are messing us up, that means we can't just go in guns a-blazing. We're going to want to take advantage of anything that we can in the environment. And by that, I mean we're going to be banking around corners taking pot shots at the upcoming room of Protectrons. Yeah, if we had to deal with the turrets, I'm quite certain that we would have died. And I mean, we do have an atomic cocktail, which can reduce the damage by a bit. I think I forgot to actually use that for this place because I was so laser focused, but whatever. Also, atomic cocktail, off topic for a sec, is a great item for hardcore mode because it reduces the heck out of your sleep. Atomic cocktail, food, and drink, and you never have to once visit a bed. So now that we're in the main room here, before we activate the terminal, we're going to look around. I've been trying to hoard some scrap metal because we are going to need that here in a little bit. No such luck, but getting plenty off the Protectrons makes me feel alright. Gonna go ahead, activate that, power up our Securitron army, and then we're gonna head on out of here without going back to Kaiser. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, jerk. Now, I say that we need scrap metal because we're going to be heading to the Boomers of Nellis. That's where Mr. House wants to send us. While we're inside of the field check, we're going to make sure we pick up a pressure cooker. We're going to need that for a little bit later on as well. But more importantly, it's time. The legend that is Grandma Sparkle is going to be going head-to-head with the star of our Faction Warrior series. The one, the only, Joe J. Boy. What's that? We're not actually going to talk to him? Well, we can't now. But what we can do, however, is take his 427 bottle caps. Now, for those of you who are new and have no idea why the heck I just did that, well, Georgia Boy is in fact important in my Faction Warrior series, because the 427 bottle caps he drops for us is massive for getting into the strip. If you got some time after this, I'd suggest going to check out my Fallout New Vegas Chinese Remnant run. That's the start of Faction Warriors for the Capital Wasteland Edition season. It's a little over 21 minutes, I promise you it's a great time. And now that we're inside of Nellis Air Force Base, it's time for Mother Pearl to respect her elders for a change by getting out of that room, because I'm gonna go in there and steal that combat armor and helmet. That's also something I do in Faction Warriors. But without Capital Wastelands to balance this game's economy, those two items really can get you into the strip. That and Georgia Boy's 427 bottle caps, but enough of that for now. What Mr. House wants us to do is to secure the allegiance of the Boomers of Nellis. They're a bunch of anti-outsider pricks who hate anyone who comes from the outside. Doesn't that remind you of the Vault Dwellers? Well, that's because they are descendants of Vault Dwellers. And it's kind of funny because you can get to idolized with these guys in like 15 minutes. They think they're all that, but they need outsider intervention if they want to persist. The scrap metal is for Jack, who is one of the more forward-thinking boomers. But with the use of another Programmer's Digest, this is the other reason why I wanted 50 science, so we can get this quest item from Loyal to make one of the quests here much easier. See, another boomer, Waquel, wants us to enter the, generator room and take out some ants. You know, it's kind of funny because giant ants were a problem back in Grey Ditch. But at least in Grey Ditch, they were just a settlement. These guys are armed to the teeth, and they still can't kill a bunch of ants. You know, it's not like they don't have small caliber firearms for just such an occasion. And the best part about this little quest item is that we reap in all that sweet XP, and we get GRA progress towards several challenges. But the real meat and potatoes of the Boomers of Nellis, one of the best ways that you can get super fast reputation with these guys, is go to this little dude Pete. He loves to tell the story of his people's history with great fervor and embellishment. So let's recap, shall we? They hate outsiders, but they have no problems with taking handouts in the form of our scrap metal. We can also give Raquel missiles. It has the same effect as giving Jack scrap metal. They hate outsiders, and the best way to appeal to them is to stroke their ego. Now, I don't know about you, but they certainly are living up to their namesake, aren't they? Oh, but don't you worry, that's not all. We are not yet done giving handouts to the boomers here, because their end goal is they want to be able to fly a bomber, and there just so happens to be one at Lake Mead, right? Mother Pearl gives us the quest to go to Loyal, who does in turn give us the quest to raise the bomber. You know, there is an okay boomer joke there, but that's beneath me. No, it isn't. What am I talking about? Okay, boomer, we'll go get your old school bomber. As long as they apply that ignorant savages rhetoric to the Legion later on, I think we're gonna get along just fine. And with the quest from Loyal in our, quest log, we are going to fast travel to Camp Golf, because there is a real quick, easy way to get to the bomber without having to fight anything, really. Giving Jack the pressure cooker that we picked up from the field shacks, we also have something to breathe underwater. That's gonna be very important. Now, as we make our way on over to Camp Golf, once we get there, all we have to do is make our way east. Now, there are some lake lurks hugging the shoreline, but if you get all the way down to the bottom, if you're hugging the bottom of the lake floor here, you shouldn't have any problems, and if you end up aggroing one or two of them, they will eventually stop chasing you, so taking this route is very safe, very easy, and if you have the rebreather, you're perfectly fine. Loyal wants us to attach 2 ballists, 1 to each wing, in order for us to raise the bomber. That's just one part of getting this bad boy above the surface. Now, how long you can hold your breath for is based on your endurance score. Granny Sparkle has an endurance of 4, so without the rebreather, we'd be in serious trouble. I don't even think we'd make it to the bottom and back to the top before drowning. But that's why you get the pressure cooker from the field shack. Now, House and Kaiser both give us the alternative to neutralize the boomers, and I don't know about you, but the rebreather by itself is worth keeping the boomers around. Using Loyal's detonator, we set off the ballasts, the bombers at the surface. Now we can go back to Nellis Air Force Base, talk to Mother Pearl, and on top of that, we gotta make sure that the boomers will support us in the battle for Hoover Dam. And if you're curious why I chose Mr. House over Yes Man, which is one of the two options I considered for Grandma Sparkle, well, first off, she's 76. I don't see her having any interest in running New Vegas. And we'll get back to that here in just a sec, but check this out. Having concluded our business here at the Gun Runners, we ended up being able to purchase a hunting rifle scope that is going to help us immensely. Oh, heck yeah. Our aim is going to be much, much better now. Definitely going to be helpful for Hoover Dam. But yeah, our other reason for helping House over Yes Man, well, Granny Sparkle can move her family inside of the Lucky 38, and being that she is a merchant, it's good to do business with the guy who runs the strip. Speaking of which, Mr. House wants us to investigate what's going on here at that Gomorrah, because the Omertas are being a bit too compliant. That silence of theirs is deafening, he says. So the receptionist tells us to talk to some guy called Caccino. He comes up and is talking smack. Well, that might be imposing, but maybe he shouldn't keep his own personal journal on his possession for us to just, pickpocket and get some money off of him. But turns out that this slimy little guy wants to curry some favor with Mr. House, and, well, he just might be, well, the lesser of two evils between him or the bosses of the Gomorrah, Big Sal and Nero. And hey, speaking of Big Sal, well, you can tell that he is chill with Caccino in some way, because apparently Big Sal doesn't believe in keeping his password stored somewhere that's, hard to find. And, it's funny because even casually, going back to the first time I did a full playthrough of this game, I have never once found Caccino's room. I don't know where it is. My instinct was to pickpocket him, figuring that I'd have to reset a few times to get his journal, but you don't have to. Maybe one day I'll learn where it is. But as part of this operation, Caccino tells us two guys gotta go, and because we got proof that one of them, Troik, is being blackmailed, he gives us some thermite, and we're able to go and loot some of what the Omertas have in store before blowing up their armory. And somehow nobody hears that. I guess the Omertas like to party hard. As for the other guy, Clandon, I did have to reset a couple of times to pickpocket him, because at least he tries to keep stuff, deeper in his pockets, rather than, on his shoulder for us to grab like Caccino and Big Sal do, apparently. Clandon is real bad news, as evidenced by those snuff tapes, and we're able to bribe him to leave and give us 200 caps, so he's gone. Now, we weren't able to sneak our hunting rifle in here, so I saw an effective way to, deal with the bosses. So we steal the 13 ball and the pooled triangle, and apparently that sends Nero and Big Sal into a berserker rage, to the point where the Omerta thugs are like, yo, chill out, she's old, she doesn't know any better. And that gets the Omerta thugs to do a bit of a face turn. They're like, well, our bosses suck because they're trying to kill an old lady. And we gotta look good for business, right? And honestly, this is the way to go for Granny Sparkle, because even if we were able to bring our hunting rifle in here, I'm pretty sure that Big Sal and Nero, especially with his assault carbine, would tear us apart in seconds. Oh, and you thought I was joking about that face turn. Nope, the Omerta thugs just killed their two bosses, and we got accepted reputation with the strip. That's Vegas, baby. I think Grandma Sparkle's adventure in New Vegas has been quite a lot of fun. Probably more fun than she was expecting, but hey, the trip's worth it. And I gotta say, I'm surprised that Caccino survived, because I did something similar in my regulator run, and, well, he died. Heading to the 188 trading post, this sweet young lady is gonna help us get inside of the Hidden Valley bunker, because she blurted out that she's from the Brotherhood of Steel. And I know some of you guys are thinking it, so, well, let's go ahead and make the reference. If there's anybody in this run who has been afflicted by the curse of Grandma Sparkle, it's gotta be Veronica. If you've gone through her companion quest before, you know just how unfortunate her circumstances are. Well, just picture this. There's a sweet old lady who wants to get inside of the bunker. Oh yeah, she's a nice old lady. Maybe she can trade us some food, supplies, and all that good stuff, because that's what Veronica does. She gathers salvage, food, and drink for the members of the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. And although she's looking right at us, it's not suspicious that Grandma Sparkle is pickpocketing the key cards off of McNamara, Head Paladin Harden, and Head Scribe Taggart. Oh, and you saw me buy that Dixon's jet off of our man Dixon earlier? Well, the reason why I buy that, obviously that's useless for us in this run because we're not using VATS. I'm using that and jet to earn us the Day Trooper perk. We haven't found much rebound in this run either, which is also useless to us, but for getting Day Trooper or working our way towards it, perfect chem to use. Even that has a use. And why do we want Day Trooper? Well, that's because it doubles the effects of certain items we use, which includes a Stealth Boy, and we're going to need a Stealth Boy to get out of here because we have just set off the self-destruct sequence, which has upset Veronica a fair bit, although she doesn't attack us. You'd think that she would. But hey, you can't blame Granny Sparkle. We don't know Veronica at all, but we're able to just come to Hidden Valley. She lets us right in, no problems at all. She thanked us on taking a chance on a young girl from California. Well, I say Veronica's the one who took a chance on the real Butcher of the East. So we're going to deviate just a bit from the main story for just a moment here to head back to Prim because, well, I wanted to reprogram Prim Slim so that Prim could have a sheriff again. And we're going to do just that. We have 30 science without any sort of buff needed. Our little buddy's good to go. Thanks to Granny, there's now a clean trading route from Goodsprings to Prim all the way to the Mojave Outpost. Anyway, next up, Mr. House wants us to protect the president of the NCR, Aaron Kimball. And I just love the context of the conversation going down. We're going to Ranger Granny's like, oh yeah, I heard of you. Well, of course you've heard of Grandma Sparkle. Who hasn't? Ranger Grant, when Grandma Sparkle asks for full access to Hoover Dam, by God, you give it to her. Now, we don't have any of the skill checks required to make this a little bit easier. But that doesn't mean that we're gone plumb out of options yet. I mean, we can kill the Legion Sniper if we want to, whenever he pops up, if he pops up. Or we can keep an eye out for anything suspicious, and, well, we found that bloodstain in the locker room, so we gotta keep a lookout for some guy who might be a bit suspicious and is dressed up like an NCR engineer. So we're just gonna do Granny Sparkle things and make some kind of attempt at a security sweep. And I mean, hey, it's not like she's inexperienced at it. How many security sweeps do you think that she's had to do at Wilheim's Wharf to make sure that her little slice of heaven in the Capital Wasteland is safe and sound? So little does Ranger Grant know that the NCR may just have picked the ideal person for this job. Oh, hey, what do you think there, inconspicuous NCR engineer guy? You got something in your pants, or are you just happy to see, oh, look at that, redundant fail-safe detonator, and first try? I wasn't expecting that. So Grandma Sparkle's running around in circles holding something in her hand. Ranger Grant's like, what the hell are you doing? Come here, man. Like, don't you have a job to do? Oh my god. And I just love this little scripted cutscene down here. Like, watch down on the bottom. They surround the guy, and they could just shoot him, but the guy just stands there and gets shanked by the Legionary, and then the Legionary just gets his head blown off. Well, I mean, that gives us NCR patrol armor that we can go sell for a few caps, so that's cool. I'd think that the Rangers are smarter than that. Maybe that guy transferred from the Heavy Trooper Division. But we'll add that to our list of accomplishments for Grandma Sparkle's grand adventure, protecting the president of the NCR. Okay, level 10, gonna get our guns to 80 because with Milsurp review, we're gonna be able to get that to 100. Survival 44 means our healing with food and water is gonna be okay now. Make our Nuka-Cola Sunset Sarsaparilla combo even more deadly. However, the NCR might just want to hold off on declaring Grandma Sparkle a hero of the NCR, and I mean, she totally is. But Mr. House also wants us to go back to El Dorado Substation, slip in a little override ship at the terminal, which the NCR troopers do nothing about despite the fact that we're trespassing. We hop outside, and before we report to Mr. House, we're going to make one more little side trip. Although we didn't do Manny Vargas' quest, we can still head on over to the Repcon rocket area, because I want to get a couple of extra supplies. Also experience points. Now, with our hollow point rounds for our hunting rifle, the feral ghouls, and even roamers if we encounter them, should be no problem whatsoever. Now, the ash piles and the Nightkin corpses do have a small chance of containing a stealth boy on them. And hey, if they don't, then we'll have a super pristine condition rebar club that we can sell for a fair bit of caps. And I mean, you're seeing it on screen. The start of our final little side quest here is going excellent. We are pretty high leveled for this point for basic feral ghouls, combine that with our high gun skill and our hollow point bullets, yeah, they're all one-shots. Gotta say, too, we're getting quite a bit of bloody messes. I did take finesse. Maybe that has something to do with it? I figure because finesse is the equivalent of 5 points of luck, maybe that's also proccing more bloody messes. Or maybe Grandma Sparkle's just a savage. Maybe them boomers was right about her. And you think I'm joking about bloody mess, there's another one. Mind you, I don't mind that. I will never say no to bloody mess kills. But yeah, no luck with the stealth boys on the Nightkin. However, there is a safe that we can get into because we have easy lockpick. Jimmy that bad boy open, and we're good to go. Now, I did speed through the little side quest here, and what I did was I killed Harland because Harland has a hunting rifle and 308 rounds. Plus, he's kind of holding up the party here, so taking him out is the best course of action. But anyway, Grandma Sparkle, the last part of her little adventure, is to go to Hoover Dam so that Mr. House can become the overlord of the free economic zone of New Vegas. And that also means that Grandma Sparkle and her family get to move into the presidential suite of the Lucky 38. And considering how much the Protectrons and the cons are messing us up, how many times do you think we're gonna die? I'm gonna guess a lot. Let's go. Now, the start of Hoover Dam I'm not terribly worried about. We have NCR Rangers who will help us with the cons, as well as our own Securitron, plus our own hollow point rounds, so really, these guys, no problem at all. And as we make mincemeat of the all of 3 great cons Papa Con sends to help Kaisar, I gotta say something as we loot these guys. This run has been absolutely insane because I have never in my life gotten steady in such bulk. Like, there have been casual runs where I'll get maybe, like, 5 steady. We have 15 right now. Well, about to be 14 because we're going to use one here in a sec. But, like, man, that's insane to me. So I came to the conclusion that, you know, Grandma Sparkle being 76 by the time Fallout New Vegas takes place, you know, she's old, she can't get around anywhere. Her bones hurt, her back aches, all that stuff. So steady has to be her primary form of medication. There's no other reason why we'd have so much of this crap. But that crap is awesome because, well, the Kentarians go a lot better than I thought they would, although that is just the first of many. Well, down goes one, and the other one, also a bloody mess kill. Love it. Wow, the first wave got frickin' wrecked. Well, time to go inside and deal with our favorite dynamic derp duo. Seriously, these guys are the poster child of heavy troopers and why this NCR salvage power armor is so terrible. I mean, we one-shot the first guy, and the second one is a 2-shot. You know, the funny thing is that I've tried armor-piercing rounds on these guys before, and it doesn't seem to work. And, I mean, neither does the pulse gun you can get from Veronica's quest. That's very telling about the quality of that armor. The quality and the legitimacy. Well, with the override chip installed and the documents for the NCR's unconditional terms of surrender in hand, let's make our way to the power, and we're going to flip that bad boy on once we get there. Along the way, we're going to be taking pot shots at the Legion and the NCR indiscriminately. Now, you'll notice that we got Sneering Punk and then Merciful Thug. One other little side quest I did completely off screen was I did the quest for the Kings. It took like 10 minutes to do, and of course I helped out the Kings and Pacer. With a ton of hollow point rounds, Major Kieran and her group of goons are super easy to take out. Well, speaking of easy to take out, the Boomers of Nellis did make good on their words, dropping ordnance upon the ignorant savages that are the Legion. Although I personally suspect that they know better than to mess with Grandma Sparkle because, like, a 76-year-old cleared that artillery strike, so it's clear that the Boomers just kinda suck at their job. But they do not suck as allies, coming in super clutch, and you know, I got killed by these guys twice as Vance. I think it was twice. It might have been 3 times. Don't remember exactly. Granny Sparkle, though, no problem. Now, as for the next wave of Kentarians, well, they like to fall back and try and lure you, but little do they know that Grandma Sparkle has an awesome hunting rifle with a scope, so their little fallback tactics got nothing on us.
Your petty little tricks won't work on us.
You shalt get a box of cookies if you caught that reference. And I gotta say, I was not expecting to do this well. But, I mean, we still gotta go through the Legates camp. The Praetorians are fast, and they could close the gap on us. And those of you who have been watching my runs for a while know that my preferred strategy for Legate Lanius is to have a Super Slam build and just go ham on him. Well, Granny Sparkle does not have a melee weapon, so that's gonna be an interesting encounter. Speaking of encounters, the first of several Praetorians does catch wind of us. Tries to make his way up to us, but apparently he forgot how to climb a small little hill there. And he's dead. With that guy gone, we have the element of surprise against the other Praetorian who's just kind of chilling. Now, watch this. I'm pretty sure I aimed right for his head, but somehow we blew his leg off. I'm just going to chalk that up to Granny Sparkle magic. Now, a bit to our west, there are two Praetorians who are just kind of chilling up by the tents. I think they're slacking off. Better report them to Legate Lanius so he can discipline them. Well, I say that, but we can discipline them for him. And yeah, ballistic fists do hurt, but if you can't close the gap and get to us or land a strike, they don't amount to much of anything. Especially not our 80 guns, almost peak condition hunting rifle. And, well, bye-bye goes the second one, so time to make our way up that hill and, well, try and battle Legate Lanius. Now, I know he can close the gap on us super fast, but, well, apparently he has this weird sense of, quote-unquote fair play. So, we can set up and get the element of surprise and draw first blood, although that may or may not be the best idea, because he will totally cleave us in two with that blade. So we'll go ahead and power up through chems, use a Milsurp magazine to get our guns to 100. Legate Lanius going for the grenade strategy, range versus range, I like it. And well, down he comes, and I guess he forgot to climb too because his sword is way better. And even better, yep, he's dead. We just two-shot Legate Lanius. One shot the first Praetorian, two shot the second one. And, oh, that's pretty cute. He's got a little trio of veteran legionary fanboys who are going to try to save him. Try was the operative word there. But there's still one goon hanging around, and I'm looking around for him thinking he's up in that little watchtower, but nah, he's below us. That's a one. Coming up's a two-y, and you know what to do, eh? Wow, we destroyed Hoover Dam in the Legate's camp as Grandma Sparkle. But we do still have one more encounter to go. A squad of 5 veteran rangers accompanied by General Oliver, so let's see how this goes. We don't have the speech check to talk him down either. Well, we did try talking, but apparently General Oliver is a fan of bullying senior citizens. Time to bust out Granny's trail mix, and oh yeah, I forgot I had 3 turbos. I didn't even need those for Lanius. Well, might as well use one here. And although generally Oliver just tried to get the jump on us, well, but hey, he can be like Legate Lanius and get killed in 2 shots. That's pretty sweet. And we get to kill one last veteran ranger before House and his Securitron army vaporize the rest of them. I really hope you guys enjoyed that run, man. I had the time of my life. I thought we were gonna die tons of times here in Hoover Dam. But no, it was clean. We didn't die a single time in this run. We came close a couple of times, but Hoover Dam? Man, that was, woo! And you saw that little VATS notification there. Didn't use it a single time this run. Legate Lanius got nothing on Granny Sparkle. On screen now are some runs that you can look forward to in the future. Now, I have more than just these in mind. We'll be heading back to the Capital Wasteland to clear it as Preston Garvey. I will see you guys back out east. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy, guys.